So let's take an example. Your book's coming out.
Right.
Right. You have to manufacture some stories. It's not like you got these stories going on. You got to figure out, I've got to manufacture a story. So can you give us, unless it's too early, can you give us an example of something?
Yeah, I'll tell you one of the stunts I'm doing, and this will appall you as a reporter. So there's this thing called Help a Reporter Out. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. But tell the guys, because I think it's a good...
So there's this service where, like, if you're writing a trend piece, you say, like, hey, I need someone who's, like, addicted to their BlackBerry. And then someone goes, like, I'm addicted to my BlackBerry, I'll be in your story. And it's sort of like a matchmaking service for your news. So you think, like, when you read it, it's like, you know, Joe Smith, a resident of Kentucky, said this. It's like, how did they find that guy? And they just put out an ad, and he responded.
And why I had Ryan tell you about this site is something Tim Ferriss did to get his book deal.
Right.
He went on to whether it was that site or another site, as sort of an expert just on anything. He looked for reporters who had needs, got himself quoted as an expert. Then his book proposal, you got to say, as featured in the New York Times, because he got quoted once in the New York Times through one of these sites.
And that, like,
so if you guys want to get that social proof for your website or something else, that's a way to do it.
And that drastically increased his advance and made him a lot of money. So anyway, so Tim told me that idea, and I was like, well, I'm going to ruin that for everyone. And so I had an assistant for the last 8 months who I allowed to pretend to be me and answer every query that he could on Haro. And I was like, say whatever they need to hear to get me included in the story. And so, like, I thought I'd get on, like, the Huffington Post or something, like a couple little things. But I got featured in pretty much every major media outlet, like, in the country, from, like, ABC News to, like, Good Morning America to, like, a bunch of different blogs, saying, like, you know, preposterous things. Like, one's, like, about my battle with insomnia, and then the other one's, you know, like one was about, like, boat winterization. But then the ultimate coup was I was in a Sunday New York Times feature about, like, the trend of, like, listening to vinyl music, of which I know nothing about, and I never spoke to the reporter, and it was, like, in this article that, like, I learned, like, what LP stands for. Like, I didn't even know. And so there I am in the New York Times. Like, so it went from absolutely nothing, doing no work, to a quote in the New York Times. So I can always say that I'd already been quoted, but now I can say, like, I've been quoted in the New York Times, and it's a total lie. So I'm deliberately did this thing because the people who will be like, you guys think it's funny, but journalists will be very upset when they learn that this has happened. So that's, like, one of the.
But you know what? But on the other hand, I mean, as a journalist, I'm actually not upset. I'm thinking journalists need to be more responsible.
Yeah, they're not going to be upset
in this environment.
Upset that the system operates this way.
Right, but I also think it's the burden of the journalist to make sure that they're talking to accurate things, and not, to me, it's just lazy journalism.
Not a single person fact checked any of these things. Actually, no, that's not true. One person emailed my assistant at American Apparel to ask if I was me, and she just replied yes. And that was enough.
Right.
And so, I quoted everywhere, and then to sort of connect back with what we're talking about, I know that will be a big story, and now I'm just deciding which journalist I want to give the story to.
So explain how you would leverage it. Let's just choose something. So explain now how you'd leverage it, because I think that's the point. So you did this, and now how are you? So, you know, say just as somebody who gets pitched, sometimes I might think, well, everybody's pitching the same story. I got a lot on my plate. Like, what's, you know? So how are you gonna sort of?
I'm probably gonna pick someone where they get paid by the page view. So like a blog like Gawker or Forbes, the Huffington Post, who doesn't also have sort of correspondingly high journalistic standards.
Right.
And then I'm gonna say, like, I'll probably say, like, you know, like, Haro abuse story would be, like, the subject line, and then I would just sort of say, like, hey, my name's Ron Holiday, like, you know, in 3 sentences, here's what I did. And then I would probably say, like, I was going to break this myself, but I thought you might do a better job than me, or something like that.
Right.
And then see if they take the bait, and if they do, I'll have already, not pre-written the story, but I'll write all the materials in a way that sort of primes them to write the story that I want. And I'll give it to them, and then they'll post it, and that will be the end of their involvement, but I will know all the sites that I want to see that story, and then I'll send it to them. and sort of handle it from. So it's like I'm having this one person do this thing, so it looks like it's independent of me, but really I've controlled every step in the process.
Right, and giving to sites that like to criticize and bash the media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And people who don't like me, who I know will like that, or they don't like the people that I've worked for, and like this will all be timed like to come out, say the day before the book comes out, or something like that.